It's time to rank all the characters from the best horror franchise out there. What's going on, guys? I'm Chris and welcome back to another video. So with Scream 6 hitting theaters, I decided to sit down and do a tier list ranking of all the characters from the 6 Scream movies. Now this list doesn't include every major character from the Scream franchise, but I do have about 30 here on this list that I'm going to be ranking. But before I get into it, hit that like button, subscribe, and hit that notification bell as I'm trying to hit my goal of 72,000 subscribers here on the channel. And of course, let me know your favorite Scream characters in the comments down below. Without further ado, let's get into this tier list. Spoiler warning for all 6 Scream movies, including Scream 6. So if you're worried about spoilers, leave a like, watch the movies, and come back. But this is your final spoiler warning for all the movies, including Scream 6. Alright, so the tiers I have today are best of the best, great, good, meh, and bad. And again, these characters are fully randomized. So starting off, we got Tara, played by Jenna Ortega, who is in Scream 5 and Scream 6. I love this character quite a bit. In fact, so much so that I'm willing to put her in the best of the best tier. In the opening of Scream 5, obviously, it seems as though she's going to get Casey Beckered and killed right out the gate. Thankfully, she is still alive, and she is part of a strong sisterhood relationship with her sister Sam. Jenna Ortega owns it. She gives one of the best performances in the franchise in Scream 6, and this character has come so far from that opening of Scream 5. Her and Sam are the emotional core of these new Scream movies. She definitely deserves a spot in that top tier. Next, we've got Wes, played by Dylan Minnette. I don't like seeing my boy Clay from 13 Reasons Why getting killed off like that, but it is what it is. I'll put Wes in the good tier. You know, I think a lot of my bias towards this character is the fact that it's played by Dylan Minnette, and I love Wallows, and I enjoy 13 Reasons Why for what it is. It's kind of a guilty pleasure show of mine. Gone too soon, though. I wish he lived. Next, we've got Randy, who might actually be my favorite character in this entire franchise. Because of that, I'm putting him at the top of best of the best. He adds so much comedy to these films, but also he's kind of the first person to take a stab at all these horror movie tropes that Scream itself is poking fun at. In the first Scream movie, he's the standout as he's going through all the rules. In the second movie, he's talking about sequels, and again, he has more bits about the rules, and even in the third movie, they watch a videotape that he left behind for them. His legacy also comes into play in Scream 5 and 6. I'll talk about certain characters relating to him later. Next, we've got Derek, played by Jerry O'Connell. This is the boyfriend, love interest character in Scream 2. He has that like moment where he does the whole Tom Cruise bit from Top Gun and is like singing to Sydney on the cafeteria tables. He's funny and charming. I would put him in the good tier, probably like above Wes, just because again, he has a really fun screen presence. But moving on, we've got Sam, the other half of the sisterhood relationship from the newer films. I gotta stand by this. I think Sam and Tara might be better than Sydney and Dewey and all the original characters from the first 3 or 4 films. There's so much depth to this character too, because her father's Billy Loomis. Shows she's dealing with those past demons while also trying to protect her sister. And I think she deserves a spot in best of the best right alongside Tara. I actually would put her probably slightly above Tara. Like, I think them two are like a duo, so like they're both there together, if that makes sense. Next, we've got Liv from Scream 5, who ends up getting her head blown off by Amber. I'm putting her in the meh tier. I don't think she's a bad character, but of the main group that's introduced in this movie, she is one of the least memorable characters for sure. Next, we've got Mickey, played by Timothy Olyphant, who is one of the killers in Scream 2. I always like this character and how he's debating with Randy in film class, but then his whole reveal scene when he goes fully crazy, it's very great acting. I think that this is a character that deserves a spot in the great tier. I think that he is one of the better Ghostface killers. Stay tuned for that ranking coming very soon. You gotta have a good psychopath in a Scream movie, and he definitely nails the part. Next, we've got Gale Weathers herself, played by Courtney Cox, one of the icons of this franchise. Gale has her ups and downs for me. She can be a little irritating at times, not gonna lie. I think she has to go in best of the best just because she's one of the main original characters. She has so many badass moments, and I love her and Dewey's relationship, especially in Scream 2. I'm gonna put her up in best of the best, but I'll be honest with you, me personally, I actually prefer Sam and Tara's characters right now, and Randy's the guy, so I'll put her behind them, but these are like, best of the best is going for like the goats of this franchise. Next, we've got Casey Becker, played by Drew Barrymore. This is the opening, extremely shocking kill from the original Scream film. As a character, let's be honest, she's in one scene. We don't know her. You know, her death is the catalyst for this whole Ghostface mayhem in the first film, but other than that, we really don't know Casey Becker at all. I mean, I feel like it'd be wrong to put her in bad, but meh. I feel like she might be better than this character, Liv, but I mean, she's a mad character. Like, yes, it's iconic. Drew Barrymore on the poster. The opening is fantastic, but as an actual character, eh. Next, we have Charlie, who's one half the Ghostface killers in Scream 4. And I always thought that Jill, played by Emma Roberts, was the better of the Ghostface killers in this movie. Charlie's not a bad character, but I mean, to me, he's pretty forgettable. I feel like he's meh. I put him like right in the middle of meh. You know, not a lot brought to the table here by Charlie, in my opinion, at least. Then we've got Billy Loomis. We all go a little mad sometimes. One of the OG Scream killers from this franchise, and easily one of the best characters out of all 6 films. The whole entire movie, they write him in a way where it's like, he could be the killer, oh no, wait, they're probably just trying to set us up to think he's the killer. It's a constant flip-flop battle with Billy, but honestly, I think that he is best of the best. I think as a character, he's probably right here for me. Again, I love Sam and Tara a lot. I think Billy is great, don't get me wrong, but I think through Scream 5 and 6, Sam and Tara have more depth and are just better characters. Next, we have Mindy, who's a great character to me. I love her. I'm putting her in the top of great right now. I don't think she goes in best of the best yet, maybe in Scream 7, but I really do love Mindy and Chad, who we'll talk about later. This is Randy's niece, and she basically fills in the role of Randy in both Scream 5 and Scream 6. She has those moments where she goes over the rules of like the newer types of sequels that they are partaking in, and she has a great moment in Scream 6 when she's going through the rules there, and she almost died in Scream 6. I'm really glad she stayed alive because that would have been upsetting. They faked us out with her death, so I'm glad that she is alive. She adds a lot of fun to the group. Next, we've got Ethan, who, again, spoiler alert, is one of the Ghostface killers, one of the 3 in Scream 6. This character to me is like the worst. He's like the worst of all the Ghostface killers. He's just this like nerdy kid, and he's like, oh, I was an econ. I have an alibi. Acting was off for me, not gonna lie. I think that Ethan is a bad character. I'll be real. Now, the Ghostface reveal, the concept is what really sells me in Scream 6. The fact that we've got the family of Richie, who's the killer in Scream 5, wanting revenge. As a character, this guy is kind of a bum. He's barely in the movie. He acts so just clueless the entire time. And then he ends up being one of the Ghostface, and the acting is just super cheesy for me at the end. He's a bad character and a bad Ghostface killer too, if I'm being honest. Next, we've got Stu Macher, the man, the myth, the legend. Matthew Lillard plays this role to perfection. He is one of, if not the best characters in the entire franchise. Just because of that, I'm putting him right up here. Best of the best, number 2 for me. Stu is a menace. I don't think we'll ever get a Scream killer as memorable as him, and I really would love if he came back in the last Scream movie and was the killer. They kind of set that up in Scream 6. They were like, if you believe he's dead. Well, I think Kirby said the line, and it's like, oh, is he coming back? Honestly, for a minute, I thought he was going to be the Ghostface killer in Scream 6. He wasn't, but I'm still satisfied with what we got. He plays this psychopath role so well in the 3rd act reveal, and before the reveal even, he's just this funny, over-the-top, energetic dude that was just great. I love Stu as a character. He deserves to be in best of the best. Next, we've got the neighbor character in Scream 6. I believe his name is Danny, actually. The whole entire movie, the way that he's written, I thought that he was gonna end up being like the person on the phone calls as Ghostface when someone else was doing the heavy lifting, when it turns out he was actually just a good dude through and through. To be honest with you, he's a pretty mad character. He's there for Sam, you know, he really does care about her, and he tells her, you know, don't trust anyone, not even me, which is a good move. So I think I'll go in mad. I'll put him like right here. He's not a bad character, it's just like he exists. He's the new love interest. Maybe in the next movie we'll get some more backstory on him. Next we've got Cotton. I love Cotton. Like, I think that he's a great character. I'd put him like probably right in the middle of great, and I think that he deserved more screen time. I loved him the most in Scream 2 when he's trying to get this interview with Sydney, and the whole entire movie, he's always showing up at these suspicious times where the movie sets him up to maybe be Ghostface, but in the end he actually has a heroic moment. Lee Schreiber's a fantastic actor, and I love what they do with Cotton in this movie. And then in the 3rd movie, they turn around and kill him in the opening. I was like, damn, I wish Cotton was a more prominent character moving forward in this franchise, because Lee Schreiber is just such a great actor, but alas, he is dead. Next, we've got Amber, who's one of the killers in Scream 5. I always liked Richie more as a Ghostface killer, to be honest with you. Amber pretty much irritated me most of the movie before she was even revealed to be Ghostface. I never really liked Amber that much. I'll put her in meh. I'll put her like right here. I think that Charlie's probably a little bit of a better killer than her off the top of my head. Probably pretty close in terms of my actual rankings coming out tomorrow. Next, we've got Chad. This is Mindy's brother and the nephew of Randy. I love Chad. He is great in Scream 5, but he's really a scene stealer in Scream 6. They make him so lovable in that movie, and then they killed him almost, and I was really butthurt, but then at the end he survived, and I love how they were like, oh, we all lived, that's a twist. I love how they were very self-aware of the fact that it's probably unrealistic that he survived, but regardless, he is great. There's a nice little romance story developing with him and Tara, and I would love to see where that goes in Scream 7. He's got a lot of great comedic lines in this film, but he's also just a very lovable dude. I honestly think that he goes in great above Mindy. Next, we have Billy Loomis's mother, who goes by the name Debbie Salt in this movie. She's the news reporter in the second Scream, who is again showing up at these crime scenes not too long after they occur. It's very suspicious, but it's funny because this is playing off of that whole Friday the 13th trope with her being Billy's mother and all that jazz. But regardless, she ends up being revealed as one of the Ghostface killers, sort of the mastermind behind these killings. Not gonna lie, she's okay. As much as I want to put her in the meh here, I think she deserves a spot in good, but I'll put her at the back of good. I think that she's fine. I do think it's an interesting take. She's the mother of the killer from the first movie. Interesting enough, but she's like middle of the road good, not higher good. Next we have Quinn, who's another one of the Ghostface killers in Scream 6, but this one's interesting. She's actually revealed to be dead pretty early on in the movie. She gets like her throat slit and everything, but she comes back later and is still alive because her father was able to switch bodies out and fake the whole thing. I think Quinn is way better than Ethan in terms of Ghostface killer because we get to see her be the roommate with Sam and Tara and everyone prior to her death, and then she's gone for most of the movie and comes back as Ghostface, and we're like, oh shit, that's a crazy reveal. Now, I don't know if she's a good character. I mean, it really is interesting how she played that innocent role really well for a while. I would probably put her like right here, maybe. Like this, somewhere around here. Maybe right here. We'll put her right there. I mean, I don't think she's a bad character, but she, again, is dead most of this movie. So I was like, oh, just one of the throwaway characters who gets killed, but then she turns out to be Ghostface. Next, we have Kirby, who's in Scream 4 and comes back in Scream 6. I love the way that this legacy character fit right into Scream 6. Like, didn't miss a beat. She had a conversation about horror movies with Mindy, and it was like, this is the old Kirby. I'm glad she's back. She added a nice little spark to Scream 6. I think that she's a great character. In fact, I would put Kirby probably like right here, right in between Mindy and Chad. I feel like she adds, again, a really nice spark to the franchise. Next, we have Detective Bailey, who is essentially the mastermind behind Ghostface in the 6th Scream film. He's the father of Richie, and his 2 kids are with him as Ghostface. He's probably doing most of the heavy lifting, if I'm being honest. He's got the tattered mask, which is just a badass look for Ghostface. I would put this character in the good tier. I mean, I don't think that he's like a great killer by any means, but he's a pretty good character. He's a corrupt police officer who's doing what he's doing to get revenge for the death of his son. So there's one line in particular that kind of gives it away where he's like, I'll kill for my family. It was almost like out of place. A lot of people in my theater started laughing because it was a little weird and awkward, but I would still say he's a good character. I'd put him like right here. I just like Derek quite a bit. So you know what, actually, yeah, that seems fair. I have to put my bias for Dylan Minnette aside. Putting him like in the middle of good seems fair because he is the best of the 3 Ghostface killers from Scream 6. Moving on, we have got Jill, who is the cousin of Sidney Prescott in Scream 4. One of the more shocking Ghostface reveals, to be honest, because I didn't think a family member of Sidney would be the Ghostface killer, but she's very jealous of all the spotlight and fame that Sidney has received over her lifetime, so she wanted to frame this whole thing up where she could be the hero, she could get the spotlight. It's a very well thought out plan, I think, and because of that, I think she deserves a spot in great. I would put her actually above Mickey, or actually right there seems fair. I think Mickey's a little bit better, so I would probably put her, you know what, actually, I'm gonna do this right now. Being Ghostface versus being the character, they're 2 different things, and I think that Jill has a little more depth. You know, we get a backstory on her and Sidney, we see her hanging out with her friends, there's more to her than Mickey, but I do like Mickey as Ghostface maybe a little bit more. Either way, she's a great character. She's psychotic at the end, the way that she hurts herself. She's like Fight Clubbing herself, throwing into a wall, taking the dead guy Trevor's hand and ripping her own hair out, scratching her face. She full sends. I mean, she definitely committed to the part, and props to her, I guess. Next, we have Sidney Prescott, the main girl herself from this franchise, the icon. She's in 5 of the 6 movies, and to be honest with you, in Scream 6, I almost loved the main character so much that her presence wasn't really missed. But in the 5 movies she's in, she's incredible. She deserves a spot in Best of the Best, but to be honest with you, as controversial or hot take as this might be, I'm sticking with my gut here. Through 2 movies, guys, I actually like Sam and Tara more than Sidney. Crazy as it may be, I'm putting Sidney right here. Again, she's iconic, she's the main girl, I get it, it's like her franchise essentially, but Sam and Tara as characters, I just love their bond so much, and I feel like they're a little more easy to relate to. Sidney's fantastic, she's iconic, but I just prefer these characters over her. Next we have Sheriff Judy, who is in Scream 4 and Scream 5 and has a tragic death. I desperately wish that there was a world where I could try her little lemon squares, they look delicious. I'll put Judy in the good tier, I'll put her like right here. You know, I think I like Wes a little bit more than Judy. But I think good is fair placement for her. She had this weird thing where they were like, oh, is she gonna have a fling with Dewey in the 4th movie? But then she dies in Scream 5, so yeah. Then we have Tatum, who is part of probably the most memorable kill in this entire franchise, right? I mean, it's the one where she's crawling through the little dog flap and she gets her head stuck and gets closed off in the garage. It's brutal, it's very memorable. She also has the line, please don't kill me, Mr. Ghostface, I wanna be in the sequel. Again, I'd probably put Tatum in the good tier, and I would go fairly high. I actually would probably put her like right in the top of good. I think Tatum has some great moments. You know, Dewey's sister, and she's best friends with Sidney. She ultimately has a tragic death, but I think she's a good enough character. Speaking of Dewey, this is one of the GOATs. You already know Dewey's going in Best of the Best. Pretty high for me. Like, I love Dewey a lot. I would probably put Dewey as like my 2nd character in the entire franchise. And I know there's a lot in Best of the Best, but these are all literally the elite characters. Dewey's this charming, lovable, sort of goofy character in the 1st movie, and then he has his limp as the movies progress, but he's just so easy to root for. David Arquette plays the role so well. He's got that charm to him, and of course, His relationship with Gale is one of the highlights of the franchise. His death still upsets me, like I'm really salty about that to this day, but it might have been necessary to move the franchise forward, so I get it. It just makes me very sad thinking about it. Dewey, you're a legend in my book. But moving on, we've got Roman Bridger, who is the killer in Ghostface 3, the only sole Ghostface killer out of the whole franchise. He's like the long-lost brother of Sydney. It's pretty dumb. I want to put him in bad, honestly. In fact, I think I'm going to. I'm going to put him in the top of bad. I think that this is the worst character I have on this list. I don't like that Ethan guy at all. His motives are just lame to me, and the reveal was just weak. I didn't care for this character at all. And last but not least, we've got Richie, played by Jack Quaid in Scream 5, the other Ghostface killer. I prefer this character to Amber in terms of like Ghostface killers from that movie. Maybe that's just a Jack Quaid bias because I love him as Huey in The Boys, but he plays the role so well. He's that psycho at the end. He's this like believable, innocent dude for most of the movie as he's like just now watching the stab movies, which is just terrible timing. He seemingly is a good dude who is there for Sam. Of course, that all goes down the drain at the end when he goes full on psycho. I would probably have to put Richie in the good tier, and I would honestly go like top of good. I feel like that's an appropriate placement for him over Tatum. He's a good character for sure, and the twist is well executed. But that is my tier list ranking of all the Scream characters, at least the ones that made the list. Let me know down below your favorite Scream characters and what tiers you would have put them all in. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe and hit that notification bell as I'm trying to hit my goal of 72,000 subscribers here on the channel. It would mean the world. And of course, stay tuned for more Scream content coming in the next few days. Ghostface Killers ranking coming very soon. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you guys later.